Hello everyone, welcome to episode number 39 of Chatting with Anthony. Sorry, I know the lighting's a bit different. In case you can't tell, it's dark out and I have to sit close to the camera because... Actually, no, screw it. That does kind of work. Just bear with me, alright? So, today's episode, I'm going to implore the question, is impatience a virtue? Now, you've probably heard the phrase, patience is a virtue, which it is. And I'm going to start by defining what a virtue is, according to Google. Take it for whatever it's worth. A virtue is a behavior showing high moral standards. So, I don't have a textbook definition for patience, but essentially, to give an example of it, it is essentially you... Everything I thought of, I would have to use the word patience, so then that wouldn't really make sense. Essentially, it's not rushing things. Let me just put it like that. You understand that things will take time, and so you keep working on a task, whatever that might be, and you don't get discouraged and say, I'm not seeing the results yet. You say, I'm going to count on the results to show up eventually. Now, just hearing that, some red flags might go off. You might think of some people who went through a certain situation for too long, and you might think, well, probably don't just go at it forever and wait for something to change. And that's what I'm going to really address. That's basically exactly where I'm going with this. Too much patience can be bad. Essentially, I'm more so, when I say this, what I'm specifically thinking of is essentially I'm just calling anybody who's been doing something same way for too long to change strategies. As Einstein said, I don't know if it was Einstein who said it, but somebody said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Patience is a virtue, but sometimes you have to take a step back and say, maybe I should be redoing it. And the reality is, that's a tough thing to gauge. Whether it's in your prayer life, if you only spend 5 minutes a day, maybe try to increase that, for example. If you pray for 4 hours a day, that's great. But maybe you should focus more on, again, I don't know what your life looks like, but maybe you should focus more on the quality rather than the quantity. Because we have a finite amount of time on Earth, and there's a lot of stuff that we have to get done outside of that. So 4 hours a day, that just, unless you're I'm talking about alone time, on your knees in prayer. I'm not talking about walking around doing your everyday stuff, praying. That's a different story. But yeah, whether it's helping others, trying to help somebody lose weight, and you're doing something that you're convinced will work, but you've been doing it for 2 months and the pound hasn't come off. Patience isn't necessarily a virtue in that essence, at least in the traditional sense, which I'll get to that in a second. Or if it's business, that's really a big one, which is your strategies aren't always going to work. Your strategy that you've carefully devised isn't always as good as you think it was. So you're going to have to pivot. And the challenge is figuring out, how do I know that it's not working? Well, you have different metrics you can use. You can ask for second opinions. It really is, it's a big challenge, don't get me wrong. But there are ways to help yourself out in that regard. So I guess I will now say kind of what I've been reiterating throughout the video, but I guess to an extent I did kind of bait you a little bit, because in essence, patience isn't the problem. Patience itself is actually a good thing and can only be a good thing. But what people do under the guise of patience is, as I said, doing the same thing over and over again when it's not working. The reality is, if you pivot, if you say, I want to achieve this goal still, but this strategy isn't working, so I'm going to try something different, you're still being patient. Just not, not in the way that I've seen some people approach it, and not in the way that I was always taught. And that's not a knock on my parents or my teachers or anybody, but when I think of patience, I just think of literally just keep doing the exact same thing. And that's just really not the case. I guess that's kind of where this video came from. You have to learn how to pivot, right? Like, you can have the same exact goal, but say, we're going to approach this different. And we might even have to like revamp the goal. Like, maybe we were too ambitious, or maybe we weren't ambitious enough in terms of how much improvement we wanted to see in, you know, fitness or business or health. Yeah, health. There we go. So again, because it's a challenge, because it's difficult to know when to pivot, don't get down on yourself if you mess up, if you do something for too long. I know I have, and that doesn't get you anywhere really. Well, acknowledging it and being upset is as like a reflex of that is completely normal, and it should happen to an extent. I mean, you shouldn't be upset, but don't wallow in it. Don't like just sit there and like, woe is me to the entire situation. Don't take that approach to the entire situation. That's not really going to get you anywhere. So just say, okay, I screwed up, but that means I can improve from here. So that's what I'm calling you to do. The only way to, I don't know if only way is the best way to say it, but the reality is, if you want to learn and you want to improve, you have to try and try again. It's the only way anybody really has succeeded at anything, except for the very few people that succeeded at whatever they were trying on the first try. Don't expect that to be yourself. Whoever it was doing it probably didn't even expect it to be them. So just keep going. Impatience is a virtue as long as you're being patient about it. Did I just clickbait all of you? Maybe. You guys can talk about that in the comments if you want. You bothos have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and I will see you in the next episode.